Here we are, everyone. The night we have all been waiting for. It is the rise of the Order of Beyithirr. 10 plus years in the making. Tonight is the campaign kickoff and reveal special for the Beyithirr Pillar of the West dragon action figure. Eric, this has been such a long time coming. I'm so thrilled that we are finally here. I know the fans are excited for this, but I think everyone in our studio is even more excited to finally get Beyithirr out into the world and get this campaign going.
Yeah, I mean, there's no doubt about it. We've talked about it for so many years. We've dreamed about what it would look like, what the release would be, and we had our initial reveal back in November at Legions Con. And, that really turned out to be kind of phase one. And so there was a lot of excitement there. And, for us, of course, it was so great to actually get the reveal out there and for people to see what this thing looked like and to see what the studio has been working on. But, now we're here at the moment of truth where we're actually, really unleashing this on everybody. And, there's a lot of excitement, around the studio.
Well, it's interesting. This particular figure has had such a strange road, a long, strange road that it's traveled to get to this particular point. You mentioned that we revealed it in November at Legions Con. What a lot of people may not know is we originally intended to actually put this up for pre-order last November. That was when we were developing the Reign of the Beasts wave. There was always the intention that Beyithirr was going to be offered alongside that wave. And then we got some pricing back from the factory and realized that we had, as Cornboy was saying this weekend, we made a thing without realizing how expensive it was going to be to make this thing. Those costs from the factory really made us realize that we had to rethink how this figure was going to be offered. We are a very small company. We're 15 employees. We've been so fortunate that over the years, we've been able to put waves of figures out there, and the support has been there through pre-orders. But going back to the earliest days of the Mythic Legions line, that crowdfunding platform really allowed Mythic Legions, that first wave, and then later the Advent of Decay wave, to get made, because the factory needed that assurance that this was going to sell enough units that it made sense to produce it. And when we started looking at the prices on Beyithirr, we realized that we had to kind of kick it old school and go back to that crowdfunding model in order to ensure that the support was going to be there for a figure of this size and this price.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, it certainly does bring us back to the pre-Kickstarter launch excitement, the night before and the build up to it and all of that. And yeah, I mean, you're absolutely right. That the dragon, the sculpting on it and the files were done early last year. They were at the factory for at least 6 months leading up to November, and we've been working closely with the factory, engineering how to best make the figure. And by the time we got into early November, it took them that long unexpectedly. We thought we'd have pricing early in the year, and then where we were in November,
Yeah.
It kind of hit us like a ton of bricks. It's a huge figure. It's a complex figure, and yeah, I mean, we had, as far as the way we were going to release a figure, we went back to the drawing board, and here we are now. And so that, yeah, like you said, it definitely felt like those early days where you had to go out on a limb a little bit in a way that with our regular releases we don't. So the crowdfunding was the way to push forward on this one.
Yeah, and what we've been doing for everyone that knows, originally we said at Legions Con or shortly after, we were going to do this pre-order in January. We still weren't ready. We were still working with the factory to really find that magic number where we could price this at a level that we felt there was still a lot of value for the fans, but at also a minimum funding level that was realistic. I spoke to someone this weekend at ZoloCon. We have a minimum funding level on Beyithirr of 2,000 units. We've got to sell at least 2,000 units for this to enter production. And this gentleman said he was surprised that it wasn't more than that. And the comment I made to him is, I don't think any other toy company would put this forward for that low an amount because, being realistic, selling this at this price point, moving 2,000 units, that is really, the minimum that we can possibly do on this to get this into the world. This is a labor of love. We're all hoping that we sell far more than 2,000 units, but really we've tried to price this at a level. We've tried to set this campaign at a level to ensure that Beyithirr can get out there into collections.
Right. Yeah. I mean, first and foremost with this is we want to make this figure exist. And then anything past that is spectacular, but that's really what it's all about now. We've all anticipated this figure for so long, the same way the fans have as well. So, yeah. We want to see it and, have it on our shelves as well. Yeah, absolutely.
It's an expensive item. Every single part of this thing is more expensive than we expected, but it's also more detailed and intricate and bigger than I think anyone expects. When we had it on display at ZoloCon this past weekend, the number of people who hadn't seen it at Legions Con, who had only seen photos and were just blown away by the detail and the size was incredible. So really excited for tonight. We're going to jump right into this. We're going to talk about this campaign, the different items that are going to be available, including all of the stretch goals, hopefully answer a lot of people's questions. And then at the end of the reveal special, we'll do some housekeeping and just talk about the dates for the pre-order and the availability and things like that. Eric, I think a great place to start is right here with this sexy product shot that Trevor Williams took. This is the one we unveiled at Legions Con. I think we're ready to kick this off, right?
Nice. Let's do it.
Okay, so the main figure that is going to be available as part of this campaign is, of course, Beyithirr himself, the Pillar of the West, this large green dragon figure. This is the main figure. This is what we are trying to crowdfund here. This is the main piece. This is a promo shot that we showed once again at Legions Con this past year. This has made the rounds. This is on our website. We also showed some basic sizing about this figure. So obviously the size of Beyithirr is going to depend on how you actually reveal this. Someone is saying that there's no pictures.
I'm not seeing anything either. I thought that might have been on my end.
Okay. Are you seeing it now?
No.
Okay. Let's try.
I saw something for a second there.
I'm going to try it again. I'm going to reshare that screen. There we go. Are you seeing that now?
Yes.
Okay. There we go. So once again, I'll go back a little bit. This is where we were.
You got to show the sexy shot.
Got to show the sexy shot. I can't start this without the sexy shot. But right where I was, we were looking at the Beyithirr dragon figure. We were looking at the sizing. So what I was saying was, obviously, the size of this is going to depend on how you display it. In this shot, the tail's kind of curled around, and it measures about 31 inches deep. Obviously, if you display the tail, spread out, you're going to get a little more size. The 22 inches, it's a little misleading in this photo. That really is from the bottom of the foot to the top of the tip of that wing. It's a big one.
It really is. And I mean, your point about people seeing it in person is absolutely right. And, this is, I've had this happen to me many times when I've seen a crowdfund or a large item online, and even with the dimensions and comparisons shots and things like that, like there's just something about in hand, it's so much bigger than the proportions are telling you just in from a photo. It's it's big.
So Beyithirr, the base figure is going to be $550, and as we said earlier, this is a minimum production run. We need to sell at least 2,000 units to enter production. That's obviously not a cap. We're hoping we sell a lot more, and we've set up some stretch goals to hopefully incentivize the fans to support this, to get those stretch goals unlocked. But we need at least 2,000 sold to be able to put this figure into production. I know there are a lot of questions that I was getting over this week was about shipping and so forth. That $550 does not include shipping. This is such a large item, such a heavy package. The Beyithirr box is, if you got the Necronominus all in recently, it's about the depth and width of the Necronominus box, but I think it's about 12 inches taller, they said. So it is a massive, massive box. The factory right now is estimating that Beyithirr weighs somewhere between like 30 and 35 pounds. So in that box, you're probably looking in the mid 30 to 40 pound range. So this is an absolutely gigantic action figure. Unfortunately, when we looked into trying to do flat rate shipping, there's just so much variety in what shipping costs across the country and across the world. There was no way we could find a number that really was fair. So shipping will be based on where you are located.
Yeah, I mean, I think that shipping, it's very indicative of every aspect of this figure. Flat rate shipping works because it works with the variances in the shipping. But when it's something this big, those variances add up to such large numbers that you can't absorb it the same way.
So let's talk about the stretch goals. 2,000 units will allow Beyithirr to go into production, but beyond that number, we've got some very exciting stretch goals. So our first stretch goal is going to open up at 2,500 units. If we sell 2,500 units of Beyithirr, we will be adding Sir Benegar, the champion of Beyithirr, to this package. Now, one thing to understand is these stretch goals that we are going to show get added into that package at no additional cost. So this is not something that you have to spend additional money on to get. This is something that once we get to the 2,500 mark, Sir Benegar, champion of Beyithirr, gets added at no cost to the Beyithirr package, adding additional value to that set.
Yeah, it's this is a cool addition to this, and I mean we had a lot of fun at the studio putting this one together. It's a direct complementary piece to Beyithirr, and it really brings a lot to the package here. And it's you're seeing some brand new parts on this. Really cool color scheme going on.
Very cool. Obviously, I'm already seeing the questions about this. People are asking, will you be able to buy the stretch goals separately? The answer is no. These stretch goals, the whole point of these stretch goals is to incentivize purchases of the dragon, the main item that we are looking to fund. So if this gets unlocked, it will be added to Beyithirr. You will not be able to add extras. You will not be able to purchase this separately. Now, on Sir Benegar, I'm seeing a lot of people talking about the pauldrons and, of course, the helmet here. These are brand new parts that are debuting on the Sir Benegar figure. These were sculpted, Eric, by you specifically to be part of this campaign.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. Again, we just really wanted to channel the Beyithirr look and energy into knight form. So it's got the specific dragon motif in it. It's got the scales. It's got the horns that are reminiscent of Beyithirr's. And it's also kind of a cool counterpart to some of the armor that Adalric has in the Necronominous wave. Which I think a lot of people will have fun with what they could do specifically with these pauldrons, with some mixing and matching and things like that.
So 2,500 stretch goal, but let's be honest, Eric, we got to get past 2,500. We at least got to get to 3,000, because at 3,000 we open up an upgrade kit for Sir Benegar. So not only will you be getting this figure, but we're going to spice him up. We're going to upgrade him with this full Sir Benegar upgrade set. So at 3,000 units, not only will you get that Sir Benegar, but we add this accessory pack to it. This accessory pack includes that broadsword with the scabbard. It includes that dragon sigil that goes on the shield. So the first photo we showed had just the round boss. That shield attaches there. It includes that lance that has a brand new front piece. It's got like a fist on the front. And then, of course, all of those soft goods, the wonderful team from C. Jessam once again outdid themselves with this incredible tunic that's got the faction symbol of the Order of Beyithirr and that incredibly voluminous cape that I've got a few more photos of that to show. But I got to tell everybody, my plea to you, we've got to get to 3,000 minimum, because I need this figure in my life.
Yeah. I mean, it's cool as the base figure, but I mean, these extras just take it to the next level. There's no question. The soft goods on it are amazing. That cape is so large and so full that the posing capability of it brings so much life to the figure. I mean, you get some serious windblown type poses with it. It's a very regal, just impressive looking character with all of this added to it.
Now, the other thing that we see here that I didn't just mention is the upgrade set also includes a second head. So that chainmail head that we see there, that's a brand new faceplate that we haven't seen before. That's included. So if we get to those 3,000 units, we basically get two brand new heads with the Sir Benegar figure.
Absolutely. Yeah, he's a loaded figure.
Absolutely.
I think, with how much people are enjoying the Knights and Necronominous, this is like one of those with even more added to the package, but it has, all the hallmarks of what people are responding to so well in those figures.
Now, once again, if the upgrade set is unlocked, it is added into the Beyithirr package at no additional cost. Also, this figure and upgrade set are going to be packaged in a standard Mythic Legions box. So this is going to be, they won't be two separate boxes, they'll all be together, but this is not just going to be loose in the box. This is going to come in a package. You'll be able to pull this out of the Beyithirr box and have a fully packaged Sir Benegar figure. So I'm going to take this down because it looks like Eric is going to show us something real cool.
Yeah, so that's it's not quite focusing, but that is the sigil shield. And then I'll pull up the actual prototype here. Which, I mean, you can see this cape is
big.
Yeah, like it's just it's a lot of fun, a lot of just a lot of potential for just creating dramatic poses and scenes. So I think there's, there's a lot for people to enjoy there. And here's the lance.
Yep. And that's a brand new tip that we mentioned. It's the same lance that comes with the bishop figure from the Necronominous wave, but with a new end piece for that, with that like fist.
Yeah, that was something when looking at lance designs, like I found that in some research, and I don't know, just thought it was very interesting and a cool ad for this.
Excellent. Well, I just reestablished the photo, but previously when I did that, it seems like the photos went away. So hit me up in the comments. If you're not seeing the photos, please let me know so I can bring them back up. I've got another photo here of, once again, Sir Benegar with the add-on set. Once again, just a great looking figure. I'm sure we're going to see more of this in the coming weeks as the campaign goes on. And we're saying no photo again. So it seems like every time I take the photo off the stage, StreamYard is deciding to stop sharing. So I'll just understand that and just restart the share once again. So we should be sharing it there. Everyone can let me know to make sure they're seeing that new photo of Sir Benegar. There's also a bit of a delay on the live stream here, but I've got some thumbs up, so I think we're good to go. We'll keep that in mind. So once again, Eric just showed Sir Benegar. We've got some additional photos here showing those soft goods. That cape fully wired, really voluminous, like I mentioned. Very cool figure that gets added at 2,500 units, and then the upgrade set at 3,000. But we're not done with Beyithirr, Eric. We've got something else that I think is going to be pretty cool. So when we were at Legions Con, we had these figures in their display cases, and there was some little characters that were in those dioramas that we just created to put as part of the display, but everyone was really excited for them. A lot of the requests we got to be added into this campaign were those figures. So the next stretch goal that gets added to the Beyithirr figure at no additional cost is going to be the Ashen Skeleton. So the Ashen Skeleton is unlocked at 3,500 units. And once again, this is going to be included with the Beyithirr figure at no cost. Eric, I know you have that figure in hand, but let me show the accessory parts. Let me show the add-ons here, and then you can show a photo of that. So at 3,500, you're going to get this base Ashen Skeleton figure. And then if we hit 4,000, we are going to add an upgrade set to that figure as well. So that upgrade set will include 2 additional heads, both a vampire and an orc, an extra set of hand, and these weapons. So this would be the full Ashen Skeleton and upgrade set offering that if we get to 4,000 units, and I could just realize there's a spelling mistake on the screen. It says figure unlocked at 4,500. It should be the figure unlocked at 3,500 and the upgrade set unlocked at 4,000. That will open up this figure. Once again, here are those other heads. We've got that orc skull head, and we've got that vampire skull head. Eric, you have that figure in hand, correct?
Yep.
Okay, let's see what you've got there.
So there he is.
So it's a lot darker in hand. Like on screen, it almost looked like our recent graveyard skeletons because it was set against black. But on the screen here, we can see that it is much darker than the graveyard skeletons.
Yeah. And like you mentioned, anybody that was, has seen those dioramas in person, has a pretty good idea of what this figure color wise looks like. But yeah, it's just a cool, kind of a simple look to this figure, but the simplicity of it really is striking. And it looks cool as a companion piece to the dragon with the flame and everything, but also stands on its own really well. It's just a great look for the skeleton.
Yeah, for sure. One of the things I love about this particular piece is it's got that vampire head. So I was immediately imagining this as like a vampire that went out in the daylight and was burnt to a crisp. That's like a classic picture you always see, right? Where the skeleton is totally burnt to a crisp, mouth wide open, screaming. So I think that'd be a fun shot here.
Yeah. That's a great use for it.
Absolutely. So that's what we have for the Beyithirr package. At one point we were talking about a bunch of different potential add-ons for higher funding levels, but this started to get really out of control, and we didn't want this to become this huge campaign with just too much going on. Really, our focus with this campaign, and I was mentioning this to some people this weekend, is we have a certain unit cost for the dragon. It is a lot more expensive than people think it is. I can tell them that. But when we hit these higher stretch goal numbers, when we produce 500 more, we get a little bit of a price break on the figure itself. So rather than making additional margin once we hit those levels, that's how we've treated the stretch goals. If we get a little bit of a savings, we add in a stretch goal that really brings our unit cost right back up, but it adds more value to the overall package, because our goal is not to necessarily maximize how much we're making per unit, but to sell as many units as we can to get Beyithirr out there. So really, that was kind of our focus with these stretch goals, was to add value whenever we get a bit of a price break, put it right back into the product to add that value in for the fans.
Yeah. I mean, there is, for toy making, there's been a lot of math involved with, with getting this out. Yeah.
A lot of math. So that's where we are at 4,000 sets. I know we're going to get a ton of questions. What happens if we get to 5,000? At this point, we don't have anything planned beyond that, but that would be a wonderful situation to have that we would have to discuss. But for right now, we're focused. These are our stretch goals, from 2,500 up to 4,000 every 500. And that brings us into the add-on sets. So these add-on sets are something else we showed at Legions Con. At Legions Con, we had two display cases, one with the Beyithirr dragon we just saw, which we basically say is the standard version. And then we also had these other pieces, the extended neck and the second head with the fire breath, and then the large epic wings. When you were sculpting this, Eric, these were pieces that you wanted to add in, and you've spoken about that a little bit, but just tell us very briefly about why you decided to add the second head with the fully open mouth and the extended wings.
Well, the first, it was the job was to get a dragon sculpted that looked great and would fit on as many shelves as possible. Mm-hmm. And so there was a lot of just thought put into it, and a lot of back and forth of how to make that happen, and what type of articulation could we use to achieve it, and what type of posing in the figure and stuff like that. And so ultimately, we decided on a more standard pose for the dragon, and then a more compact wing design that, you could put it on top of a bookcase, or at least in somewhat of a reasonable display space. Mm-hmm. But we wanted to do this flame. And then once we did the flame, we wanted a head that really sold the flame effect. The head that comes with the base figure, it has an articulated jaw, so you can get an open mouth look or a closed mouth look. But with this, I wanted to really push the ferocity at which Beyithirr is blowing this flame out of his mouth. And so rather than just having a hinged mouth, the eyes are more closed, the mouth is more stretched open, the nostrils are flared, things like that, it's more expressive. And really that applied to the wings as well. Rather than doing a set of wings that had a bunch of joints in it that could potentially get floppy, we went with doing just a second set of wings that have all the detail intact. From a production standpoint, they'll be very solid, because we didn't want them to droop or to become misshapen over time. But in looking at it, even before we had the pricing, we knew that it was just going to be too much to put in one package, too much size wise, and cost wise.
Yeah.
And so, the original idea was that all, the flame, the head, the neck, the wings were all one add-on.
Yep.
But once we got those numbers, that changed the story.
Yeah. Well, I think your point is, going back a little bit, all of these were created and we realized that these were nice add-on pieces, but not everyone was going to have the space to display this. Because, while you can condense the dragon, once you add these pieces in, you can still curl that tail, but once you add that fire breath in, you are really increasing the amount of space this takes. And we know that this is already a large figure. So rather than putting everything into the set and the price increasing accordingly, we decided to go more a la carte with this and create an accessory set. And as you mentioned, we originally were imagining that accessory set be one piece. It was going, together, the wings and the neck and the head and the fire. But to your point, when we got the prices, we realized we had to rethink these as well. Those wings alone are some of the most expensive pieces that we've ever had to produce. So we went back to the drawing board to figure out what we were going to do with these add-on sets. So the first add-on set we are going to do is the Fiery Breath add-on set. Now, once again, the Beyithirr figure is sold separately, but this is going to be it's basically a whole second neck assembly. It's that whole chest part all the way up. The neck is extended further. It's got the fully open mouth. It's got the fire burst. And you can really see the difference between the two here. So on the left, you have that Fiery Breath head and neck. On the right, you have the standard neck. So if you buy this piece, you'll be able to plug that right in.
Yeah, that photo really says a lot there. I think I was even a little surprised when I saw it. Because we had the two dragons assembled in two separate cases. So I'd seen these particular parts isolated and compared like this. It was very eye-opening. And just goes to show it is a substantial section of the dragon that you're getting in this set.
You look at these add-on parts, that's 50% of the dragon right there. Just these pieces. So these are big, big pieces. Now, the other thing that's worth mentioning is the open mouth dragon. It does have a tongue in there. You can remove the tongue and you can put the fire breath in there.
Right. Yeah, because we wanted to be able for people to be able to use that head without the flame if they wanted to, because it is such an expressive head.
So this Fiery Breath add-on set, this is going to be $150, and this has a minimum funding goal of 1,000 units. So similar to the Beyithirr has a price and it has a minimum funding goal. This is a separate minimum funding goal. We have to sell 1,000 units of this set in order to be able to make this available. Now, one of the things you are certainly seeing in this photo is that knight figure that is at the bottom. That figure is not a stretch goal. That figure is included in this set from the beginning. So as part of that $150, you not only get all of that assembly for the new dragon neck and the head and the flame, you also get the burning knight figure with what you see here. So for this particular figure, this is something that we're showing for the first time tonight. We had shown those Ashen figures in the display case, but we said, how cool would it be if there was kind of a knight figure that was actually getting hit by the flame, where, the tips of his, hands and his feet were outside of the cone of flame. So they were like heating up, but the core of the figure was fully engulfed in flame. And we recently released that flaming skull head from the Undead Builder Pack in Necronominus. That was such an easy addition to add to this set. This is what you get. You get that extra set of hands, 3 total heads, and that really cool look. Once again, this is not a stretch goal. This comes as part of the set for the $150.
Yeah, this thing's cool. Especially, I love that shot where you've got it next to the flame, and you can just see the matching effect there, and they just look so good together. It's such a different look than really anything that we've ever done before on a standard figure like that. So it's just such a specific concept, but I love the uniqueness of it.
Yeah, it's super, super cool. So we do have one stretch goal, and Eric, I believe you have this figure in front of you as well. So we'll look at that in hand in a moment.
Okay.
But while we've got multiple stretch goals for Beyithirr, we decided just to do a single stretch goal for the add-on packs. Once again, we've got to hit 1,000 units. If we hit 1,250 units, we're going to add an upgrade set to the Burning Knight. So what you get, if you notice here, those lower legs and the lower arms that are now separate from the figure, those are painted as I just mentioned. So the kind of the ends of them are not burning, and the part that's getting closer towards the core of the figure is really heating up. We decided to also throw in alternate versions that are fully translucent. So if you wanted to make a full Burning Knight figure, you can do so. The accessory set will also come with a shield. And there's actually one item that's not shown here. We didn't have it ready in time. The chainmail head that's got the skull insert, similar to what came with the Sir Elijah figure, that will also be included in the upgrade set in that translucent color.
Yeah, another one. You look at this shot with everything in it, and he's fully loaded.
Fully loaded. Okay, you want to show us that in hand?
Yeah.
That's cool.
So you can just see this guy almost looks like he's glowing.
Yeah.
And like these transitions on the feet and hands to the armor, really sharp. And I'll show you it's a little bit. Where did that go? It's a little bit fragile.
Yes, this one was printed out so we could achieve those clear effects on this.
Yeah,
so this is very, very prototypey.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'm gonna do my best here.
Okay.
But you'll get the idea.
Yeah. So there's the flaming skull.
And I'm not doing the best job here, but you can see the transitions in color from around the upper skull, where it really has that yellowy glow all the way down to these deep, rich, red, amber type colors. It really, yeah, I'm doing a terrible job holding it, but I'm trying to hold it together. But you know, you get the idea as far as, you know, how nicely painted it is, and then, you know, you got this cool flaming sword with it. So yeah, another, you know, like I said, to me this is a very unique addition to the line. It, you know, we haven't really seen, you know, we haven't really seen anything quite like that.
So that is the Fiery Breath add-on set. We have one more item that's available, and that is the Epic Wings add-on set. So once again, the price of all of these pieces, we felt that it was too much to add into one. Again, we also wanted to give people some choices. So rather than making it all into one set where you get everything for, you know, one price, we wanted people to be able to kind of a la carte this. I love the people that want to get everything. You certainly will be able to do that by adding all 3 items to your cart. But for those people that maybe only want the base Beyithirr, or want the Beyithirr and the wings, or just the Beyithirr and the Fiery Breath set, by allowing these to be 3 separate sets, I think it gives that option in a nice way. For the Epic Wings add-on set, this is also going to be $150, and this also has a minimum funding goal of 1,000 units. And this also comes with a figure right out of the gate. So the crispy figures, the burnt ashen figures, they were once again so popular that we not only had skeletons in the case, we also had zombies. So the ashen zombie that you see here is also included in that $150 Epic Wings add-on set right from the get-go. But if we hit 1,250 sets for that, we will add an upgrade set to the zombie as well. I didn't mention it for the Burning Knight or for the Ashen Skeleton. I did mention it for Sir Benegar, but all of these figures will be carded. These will all be fully packaged in the boxes if these items are unlocked. So the Ashen Zombie upgrade kit, that adds all of those pieces to this figure. Once again, this is unlocked at 1,250 units. A couple different looks at the alternate heads that come with the zombie.
Those close-up shots are great because you really can see, you know, the subtlety in the paint that's going on those figures, and just, you know, how they bring out the details and the texture and everything. They, you know, there's a lot going on there, even though they, you know, from afar might look like they're kind of a single color.
Absolutely. So those are the items that we have available for this campaign. Let's review them really quickly, and then we'll talk a little bit about the mechanics of how long this is going to run. So the Beyithirr figure, and again, these are all available separately. The Beyithirr and the add-on sets. The Beyithirr figure is $550. It needs 2,000 units to fund. If we get to 2,500 units, we get the Sir Benegar figure. If we get to 3,000 units, we add the upgrade set to Sir Benegar. At 3,500 units, we get the Ashen Skeleton. And then finally at 4,000 units, we get the upgrade set for that skeleton. The Fiery Breath add-on set is $150. That needs 1,000 units to fund. The Burning Knight is included by default, but the upgrade set is added at 1,250, and we have the exact same metrics for the Epic Wings, $150, 1,000 units to fund. The Ashen Zombie is included. The upgrade set opens at 1,250. I do see a number of people asking if there are going to be an all-in set for everything that's even more discounted. Unfortunately, the answer is no. We always do try to add all-in sets that include an extra discount, but when we tell you that we have priced this as low as we can realistically go, it is not marketing hyperbole. It is not us trying to feed you a line. We literally are pricing this at the margins that we need to get just to get this thing out there. So This is the packages that we are going to offer. There is no additional savings beyond what you see here. And on that note, I do think, Eric, it is time. We got a few more minutes left that we should talk about kind of the mechanics of this pre-order. So this pre-order begins tomorrow night, which is March 7th at 7 p.m. Eastern time. The pre-order is going to last for 1 month. The pre-order ends on April 6th at 11 p.m. Eastern. Now, this item is only going to be available at Store Horseman. We have a number of retailers worldwide that we would love to be able to offer this to. But once again, the challenge that we have here is if we're offering it to retailers, it's got a lower in price to come to wholesale, and then they have to increase the price. They still have to pay for shipping. We looked at a bunch of different options, especially for our overseas customers that we know it's going to be more expensive to ship to them. The reality is, if we sell to retailers overseas, the items still need to be shipped overseas. It's not made in those countries. So that price just gets wrapped into what they charge. At the end of the day, one of the things we were doing over these months was looking at a lot of different delivery options. The reason we decided to only do this at Store Horseman and not to do this crowdfunding on something like Kickstarter is this allows us to have the least amount of expenses so we can charge what we're charging and not have to charge even more, have retailers charge even more. So whenever we can support our retailers, we absolutely love to do so. We have a retailer appreciation wave that's available right now only through our retailers, but the Beyithirr figure is only going to be available through Store Horseman, and it's only going to be available during this campaign. So we do a lot of live events all across the country. For anybody that sees us at live events and picks up stuff from the table, if you are thinking that, oh, I'll just wait and get Beyithirr from the table at a future show, unfortunately, that's not going to be possible. We are not making extras to sell outside of this campaign. So like a lot of companies do with large crowdfunding campaigns like this, what is sold during the campaign is what is getting produced. We are not making extras for online sale in the future. We are not making extras for shows. So really, this period that you see here, this is your chance to support the Beyithirr figure and to help us get this figure made.
Absolutely. One thing I did want to show, Jeremy, just because I do have a box of goodies here.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
You have some wings, don't you?
I've got, because one of the things we also thought you didn't really see, it's hard to tell, how big the wings are, but also just to illustrate a little bit what the difference in the two sets are. So let's see if I can back up here. So this is the standard wing that's coming with the base Beyithirr offering.
Yep.
And you can kind of see it's very straight. God, I'm losing my voice here, but it's very straight up and down.
Yep.
And very folded. And again, this goes back to what I was saying earlier about trying to make this so it's as displayable on a standard shelf as we could get it. But just to contrast that, to show this fully extended wing here.
It's so big it barely even fits in your camera.
Right. I have to kind of look around it just to see. But this thing, is substantially larger. And the way that it actually sits on the dragon's body, not only is it large from this view where it's more spread out, it also goes on the dragon in a way, even though there's articulation there, so you can move them both, but its natural pose is a wider, actually a little more like that. So from front view, the width and mass of these wings when displayed really, it has a dramatic look to it. And while actually pull that back up a second there, Jared.
You got something else?
Yeah, I got one more thing here that just for fun.
Yeah.
Oops.
So that's the fiery breath add-on set head without the breath in it.
Yeah, and I'll just, again, just, for the people who haven't seen this in person, just to try to help with some of the scaling.
Yeah.
There's a figure.
Yep.
Next to it. So if you line it up like that, the head is about the size.
That is
a figure.
Massive.
Yeah. So, this has been sitting on my desk while we've been doing the stream here. And it's just even just the head's a cool object.
And those wings, with the size of those wings, it is worth mentioning. And we showed this off. We had a kind of a prototype from the factory at Legions Con. We were playing around with it, but those are fully ratcheted wings, so they will hold their pose and hold their shape. It's one of the reasons why we did these kind of wings, so we don't have fabric and a lot of extra articulation in the wings themselves that's going to droop. Though those ratchets, both in the wings, there's ratchets in the legs. This has got a lot of engineering in it to make sure that this massive, heavy figure holds its pose and holds its shape.
Yeah, I mentioned earlier, how long we had it at the factory before we even saw pricing on it, and it's for that exact reason, and it's ultimately why or at least part of the reason the price is what it is. The factory, was adamant about certain production aspects to make sure that this figure will hold its pose, it'll hold its weight.
Yep.
That it's a properly engineered and constructed figure so that it'll display well and play well.
Yep. Speaking of movement and everything, the figure is highly articulated, over 50 points of articulation. I have seen a number of people asking for an articulation demo, which is just not feasible at this point. All those photos you see, that's a 3D printed prototype. It's held together with glue and screws and everything to hold that pose, because part of the reason we're doing this crowdfunding campaign is to be able to push this into production, which also means the tooling. So this is not fully tooled at this point. We have made some great progress with the factory. They sent us a model that is a little more posable that we were playing around with at Legions Con. There's certainly some videos out there of you and myself doing that. But really, we don't have the ability to take that prototype and really put it through its paces to pose.
Yeah, I mean, even when we had that more workable model, again, every part of this project, it's just, it is a bigger model that you have in your hand. So it's just, there was more weight to it. That's, there's more to posing it in that early stage. So it worked well, and we were able to do some nice demonstrations with it. But as always, it's once it gets to like test shot form, that's when you can really, start pushing the poses on it and seeing what it can do.
Yeah, a lot of questions asking when this is going to ship. We don't have an exact time on that, but one of the good pieces of news is, because we have done so much work with the factory already to get us to this point, we're a lot further along than we normally would be for something we're soliciting. So at this point, we're hoping to have this out mid next year, maybe a little bit towards the end of the year. A lot of that is going to depend on, how quickly we can move through production with this. As we've said before in this stream, this is an unprecedented item for us, but that is our goal at this time, that around the middle of next year, we should be able to have this.
Yeah, I mean, it is, like you said, unprecedented. Yeah. So, you know, maybe in my hope is that we get lucky and it's unprecedented in a way where it comes sooner than expected. But you know, we always wish that.
Yeah. The other question that I'm seeing a lot, and one of the last things we'll address today, because there's so many things we could talk about, is whether you are charged at the time of order or at the end. And that was one of the challenges, or one of the decisions we had to make doing this at Store Horseman versus doing this at Kickstarter. You know, one of the great things about Kickstarter campaigns, beyond just the exposure it gives you, is the fact that you can change your pledge, that you can, you know, back at the beginning and you're not charged to the end. But the downside is Kickstarter takes a pretty sizable fee, which simply means the item would be more expensive. So in our efforts to keep this as low as possible, we elected to do this at Store Horseman. It also allows people that have Store Horseman gift cards. They can certainly use that. The downside is Store Horseman orders are charged at the time of order, which is kind of counterproductive with a campaign like this, because a campaign like this, we want orders early so we can get those numbers up and we can unlock those stretch goals. Ultimately, no matter what decision we made, there was going to be advantages and disadvantages. Once again, we chose Store Horseman because it would allow us to keep the price lower. So anyone who is going to back this, if you do back this thing early, we thank you profusely, because you help fund this project. You help open up those stretch goals. Getting in there early as opposed to the end of the campaign is going to help make this be a reality. For US buyers, we do offer the pay in 4 installments option, which allows you through Shop Pay to break up your payment into 4 bi-monthly installments. So that may help as well.
Yep,
Eric,
absolutely.
With that, I think that we are done for tonight. I think that this has been a long time coming, and as we said at the start, we are incredibly happy to get to this point and be able to get Beyithirr out there. We've done our best. You know, all we can really do is make the coolest toy possible, price it as competitively as we can afford to, and then put it out there. And then it's up to the Legionnaires and our amazing community of fans to do the rest. So at this time, we are asking you to help us make Beyithirr a reality, help back this pre-order campaign, and help us see the rise of the Order of Beyithirr into the Realm of Mythos.
Absolutely, yes. And you know, on top of that, you know, we also ask that any chance you get to spread the word on this,
yes,
because
please.
That is crucial to a crowd fund. And one of the things that we've heard a lot with this figure is, you know, there's a lot of potential to excite people outside of figure collecting and you know, kind of the typical channels. So yeah, I mean, the more that this gets out there and you know, people are sharing their excitement about it, you know, it's just will help to ensure that, you know, we can get this made and get it into everybody's hands.
Yeah. That's it, everyone. Once again, tomorrow night, we will be launching the Beyithirr campaign, 7 p.m. Eastern, exclusively at storehorseman.com. Thank you, everyone, for joining us tonight. We will see you all very, very soon. Good night, everyone.
Night.